Important tips and resources for buying your home.
And so assuming that we add, the furniture, high quality photos, listing photos, description, put it on all of the websites, it'll probably rent to a family for around 3,400 to 4,200. Probably starting off, you would want to put it around 3,500 and then slowly bring it down and see, because you could just take, it's not like the MLS and it's not like when you're selling the property, you could just take the listings down and you could relist them. So if somebody doesn't rent it for the price you want, and you care about your days on market at that point, you could just take the listing down, you could just relist it. Now you're back at 0 days on the market. And with that, you'd be cash flowing around, $200 to $1,000. $1,000 would be on the higher end. It'd be awesome to find a deal like that. Most of these deals are going to be, if you're going around door knocking, the $200 to $500 of cash flow, those are going to be the deals where you could still potentially find them on, Zillow or the MLS. Or if you work with us, we have, people that go through and find a lot of off-market homes for sale. So we're able to have access to some cool deals that are off market if you're primarily looking at investment. Plus, the properties are probably going to be able to rent for another 3% every year on the lower end, 5 to 10% on the higher end, depending on the market and whether or not you're allowed to charge that much more. Bear in mind, a lot of people just typically charge that much more, but if you get into you don't want to do that, anything illegal like that, because if you get into a battle with the tenant and you didn't pick a good tenant or something like that, you're going to end up, hurting when you get $10,000 of fees from the court. So you can also add in, 8% property management fee when you're looking at these numbers in order to try and automate it. If you're looking at owning 4 or 5 properties over the next few years, or you just don't have time and you don't want to manage it. What I would do, because I have energy, I'm young, ready to go, whatever, and I'm good at setting up processes and everything, is I would rent everything separately, and I'm probably going to get the most money from that, because I could package them up into each of their own kind of little investments. I'm going to rent one master bedroom fully furnished for $1,400 to maybe even $2,000, depending. I'm going to rent one bedroom with a private restroom fully furnished for $1,200. I'm going to rent 2 bedrooms with one shared bathroom fully furnished for $1,000. If they can get $1,000 for those ugly rooms we saw earlier, I can figure out a way to get $1,000 out of it. And then my total rent's going to be around $4,600, and I'm going to be cash flowing on the lower end $500 if it's, things are going bad, and $1,500 on the higher end. And I like to look at these numbers from worst case scenario, essentially, of, the lower end, because you want to account for the fact that, let's assume somebody's going to be gone out of the property for 2 or 3 months out of the year, and you need to find a new tenant. And that's why it's very important to go through an extensive pre-qualification process, list your property on all of the websites, get 300 applications, and then have somebody like us go through and help you, after we help you purchase the property, figure out who's going to be a quality tenant that can potentially just rent it out for 2-3 years at a time, and we each give them an incentive to stay there. This is going to be medium risk of damage, obviously, because you're having people cycle in and out. Now, the reason I had Airbnb on here, but I took it off, the estimate for Airbnb was $4,700, but I didn't feel like those numbers were accurate, for one, because it's just too far away from any of the major airports. I feel like it was pulling the information from the very high end listings that they're charging $10,000 a month for. And I just don't think there's enough listings on the market. So I think they're skewed. And then the second reason is, I just think you're going to be way better off in this specific instance by just renting each room separately. I don't think Airbnb is really going to be the move up in Brentwood specifically. If you're down here in Santa Clara or Santa Cruz, some of these other areas, then it's a very feasible option. And same thing, you could output the property management for 8% to, automate it and help reduce the turnover. It's not okay. Yeah. So, why is this a good area for long-term growth? Specifically looking at Brentwood, we had a couple of numbers at the beginning, but a bunch of people joined throughout the meeting. So it's good to go over this again. The population change since 2000 was 176.7%. Bear in mind, it's a pretty small city. Population 2019 was only 64,000. It's probably around 80 to 90,000 now, because they've grown quite a bit in the past couple of years. Now, the estimated median household income in 2019 was 117,000. This is important because one of the factors that we look at, one of the smaller criteria that's, still important when we're determining, whether it's going to be a good area for rental properties, is whether the people in the area are making over, I believe it was $45,000 a year. If the median household income is under $45,000 a year, you're going to lose a lot of your money to delinquencies, people leaving, people messing up their property, and it's not a good place to be, most likely, to have a rental property. But with this, we're looking pretty good.
Join our weekly webinar. Call us now at 408-763-8131 or scan the QR code.